Dan James has got in behind, and James is into the penalty area. Dan James for Leeds, clips it in! Lovely finish from Dan James! Now James has a crack. Oh yes! How about that for a crack? Flies in, Dan James shot. Edge of the penalty area, and he's arrowed it into the back of the net. The battle in midfield sees Strauch emerge with possession. Great ball from him into the path of James to attack the area. Into the middle it goes! Into the back of the net it goes from Manor Solomon. And now James, and now there's a lot of space in front of the Leeds man with players in the middle, and Pirou's waiting, and it's an own goal! James is in, lobs it! Oh, lovely! From Dan James, magnificent finish! Challenge is a good one. Byram, Pirou, now James is in again! Here's Dan James! Oh! Here is Dan James! Absolutely blasts that one into the back of the net! He's into the penalty area, and Dan James! Waits, and Dan James slides the ball underneath the goalkeeper. Bogle again plays it over the top for Dan James to get into the penalty area. James is onto it, clips it in the middle, header in, simple goal. Leeds 2 in front. Pirou with the header. Back into Solomon, who's on the byline. Holds it in the penalty area. Solomon trying to get it goalwards. It runs across the face of goal. Bogle back into the middle. Dan James turns it in. Bogle, Aronson, nice ball into the gap for Dan James, who puts it into the middle. Oh, what a start for Leeds United. Solomon to put it back in the middle again. Far post waiting! Yes. Is Dan James! And he waits, and it drops, and he puts it in the back of the net. Playing the ball into Dan James. James round the keeper. Dan James still on the ball, still waiting for the opportunity. And in it comes, and in it goes from Brendan Aronson. James did a great job, kept his cool, and he picked the right pass. Pirou again, he picks up a good position, and he's played the ball into the path of Dan James, who's onside, tucks it into the middle, and it's tucked into the back of the net by Manor Solomon. Some more super football from Leeds United. Firpo curls a lovely ball in, and Dan James arrives. James through the middle, great chance, James! Fires it home for Leeds United. He's put it into the path of Pirou, who's rolled it in for James. James is in. James again! What a goal! James up to the edge of the box. Dan James gets outside, gets it into the middle. Heads up! Yes! Oh, it's there! Junior Firpo with the header! Terrific cross. There are runners waiting in the middle as James comes back to the edge to Pirou. Pirou with a shot. Oh, what about that? Yes. What about that? He's arrowed it into the top corner of the net. That is a superb strike. There's a bit of room for Dan James, left side of the penalty area, curls across into the middle, and it's put away by Junior Firpo, who's there again. It's James, attacks the edge of the box, has his shot! How about that from Dan James? Superb strike, flies into the back of the net. Leeds are level, and they've levelled in style. Straight ball for Junior Firpo. Now there's a runner, and it's Mana Solomon. He's picked the ball up in the penalty area, and he's crossed it in, and it's there! Leeds have scored! Slid in by Dan James. What a start for Leeds United! Terrific attacking move down the left side. James popped up in the middle, and he turned the cross in from close range.